Satan's Booty Hole, Monday, April 15, 2024. My reality show dedicated to my son, his life of suffering and wasteful death. Well, I went into Publix to get some bagels. They make bagels fresh most every morning in Publix, and I like the Asiago. Well, I took $15 cash out of my little change purse, which was a gift from Delray, and I closed the purse with a little stainless steel clasp, closed it and dropped it into what I thought I dropped it into my bag. I lost it. I checked Publix twice. I checked the path I followed, so I lost the little change purse with $55. Got in a bad mood, went up to Delray to my friend of 23 years. I found my friend. She was home, called her, and then I found her. I went and talked to her. She did a few little nice things for me, including giving me a lecture. And I hope that after my coding class is complete, I can take her to Carabas. Well, before I went to Peace on the Beach, I saw that I had a stalker with a cell phone. I call it Obama Free Phone Pray Conquest Nigger Gang Stalking Bullying, because I did see him wave at me, so that's how I know I was being stalked. Jehovah's Witnesses prove that Jesus was crowned king in heaven 1914. Luke 10:18, Jesus said, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Now, these people had a really bad tornado, and somebody photoshopped Satan in there because all bad things we translated from Satan, so it was appropriate. I have a scripture, Isaiah 44:22, about my sins being swept away. So I ask and pray for Jehovah to sweep away all my sins and my errors. Well, at the end of the video, I always put proof that I'm in Satan's booty hole. The proof seems to get longer and longer. Well, there are the charges still here. August 8, 2023, I had 4 people in 4 days doing some kind of editorial thing which caused me emotional distress, and then I was terminated from a menial job. But I was working online in the afternoon, so the menial job was just supposed to be put together with my work online. But however, they didn't know, so I had a lot of negative kind of experience up there. I think about my 56 years with Americans, the American system, and Jehovah's Witnesses. My 46 years in the United States, trying to see where I fit. Trying to be me, my authentic self, my value systems of choice, my preferences, what I reject. All the bad things which we never want to occur again, like the Holocaust, O.J. Simpson's wife's murder, my son's murder, my sister's murder. When I worked for the government of Jamaica in the summer of high school, we built hotels and mansions, etc., restaurants, etc. But people really paid full price to buy properties near to the Queen. There wasn't a lot of terrorizing for gentrification like in Boynton, Delray, and Boca Raton. I have some pictures of that. That's another video. That's the For the People Act video. But I worked in the summer of high school 2 summers, and the first summer I had to go down into the basement where the deeds were for all the properties in Jamaica. I was bullied out of government, so I continue my civic duty by speaking to senators, Congress, and the House about For the People Act, and also the press about my issues. I was fortunate enough to communicate with a senator from Miami and a commissioner from Lauderdale Lakes, which is a Jamaican city. I'm so sad, but 1968 I was extracted from a close and synergistic family into Jehovah's Witnesses betrayal. Now, this lady right here, she was really my big sister, but she was a cousin. A cousin who was adopted from the rural area of the farm. She came to go to school with us, and she said my dad was okay. So I can love my dad and be a Cuban fighter like him. My dad fled Cuba with his younger brothers and sisters and mom and came to Jamaica. And his older siblings went to New Jersey and got rich. But my point is that my mom adopted her. She's like a big sister. But she left the Jehovah's Witness Church and she got 2 master's degrees, etc. And then this one left the Jehovah's Witness Church. She grew up in Jamaica also, with our synergy and our closeness with our cousin being the chief of police, and we had a restaurant, bar, and bakery, and there was an estate also with a big house and many small properties on it. So, and the other sister who left, she has a PhD. So 1967, USA occupied Jamaica, and the Jamaica dollar proceeded to devalue and devalue. But Jehovah's Witnesses organization proceeded to acquire more and more land and buildings all over the world, also in my parents' neighborhood. But I think it's a betrayal. I feel like that because this property in Brooklyn was sold to Charles Kushner when Trump was president for $340 million. And if I can't celebrate birthday, Christmas, or 4th of July, they should not sell to Kushner while Trump is president, aligning with Trump and Kushner. And Kushner went to prison for not paying his taxes. This is a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall for sale. That's the business they're in, monetizing land and buildings. I will not be silenced on overkill, and they now killed Mommy Dolphin. And we need support to go to the International Criminal Court. We want support from Jamaica, my mother's country, and my father's country, Cuba. And also, there was a country that wanted to file charges against the United States at The Hague. And the United States, Washington told them that they would start a war if they filed the charges. But we have to go about it another way because Donald Trump also sued the United States and Muhammad Ali also sued the United States. So it's a good legal procedure. But we just feel that why we prefer that process is because we notice that Trump is being tried within the United States courts, which is another slide coming out. But I've contacted a lot of people and I continue my effort and, showing that we're in Satan's booty hole, the proof. Well, 13, they say in America is bad luck, but 13 is Satan's number. That's why it brings bad luck. So here's the Sun Sentinel about my son's accident. And here's the Tampa Bay Times. The little one was in the Brain Bowl competing for a college scholarship, and the older one, he was working at CVS, and he came with me on campus at FAU twice. And I was showing him how good it is because I took him into the library and to a leadership conference. But he was tested gifted when he was 6 years old, but we did not. My ex-husband subjugated us and did not allow us to go to divorce court. And certainly, if a judge knows that your son was tested gifted, he would keep him in his house and in his school. And I've been working since I'm 17, so to me it's a logical process. But this is the end of it. They crashed and died. So they crashed at 1300 Northwest 13th Street. That's 2 13s, which is double bad luck, double Satan. How sure am I that I'm in Satan's booty hole? Well, 2 smart men were lost. We were isolated by Jehovah's Witnesses. And, we were subjugated and not allowed to get a judge to get safety for these, protect these boys. And we just had a man who was also a Jehovah's Witness like us, but he had his own value systems, his own cultural differences. I remember when I was working and I only had one baby. And I felt good. But when I look in his eyes right now, I am doing this video for him. I feel such a terrible sense of loss. I went through the grieving process since 2001, but it really gets worse because my family sent me pictures like this. I do this video for him, this reality show, and perhaps I'll put it into a podcast. And Mommy Dolphin is also about parenting so that your kids don't get hurt. What you need to do, no matter how bad you feel. Well, he liked when he was an only child. He had a Cuban babysitter while I worked in computer operations, 12-hour shifts. So we had Fridays, every Friday off, and Fridays we had play dates in Morrison's cafeteria. And then Saturdays he seemed to watch me because I remember One Saturday he tried to talk to me before he was 2 years old. I think about the Muslims beheading, and people talk about Muslim beheading, how bad they are. But sometimes people, they cover up some kind of atrocities that happen in other countries. This is what I want to uncover, the overkill. Now, Jamaica lost Mommy Dolphin. When she came in 2001, she did not understand the volatility. I guess when I came to school here, I did not understand the volatility, but the Underground Railroad did go north to Canada. I knew that. Now, Eduardo of Cuba lost 2 grandsons and his best and last child, his last daughter, because of this volatility. I was sharing these videos with all the people down in who were at the celebration of life in Fort Lauderdale. Mommy Dolphin is not a good person to destroy. She's number 6 of Eduardo of Cuba's daughters. She was the proof that he married a right woman and lived with my mother till he died. Her son was a genius from birth, and she was a fierce protector of that baby and loved him so much. But she had the best figure in her high school, and she was the best banker. Mommy Dolphin is a nickname for the affection they show each other, because he had the best mother in the world. He got his PhD in neurosurgery, and then he got married, and here's his mom hugging him, as they do. She was the best banker, and then she found time to go and party, go to concerts and everything with her son and his friends. So I want to talk to Washington about this volatility. I have sent maybe the second version of Satan's Booty Hole to Washington Post, because, journalists understand English and they can sense things more because they work with the media. So I also send some things to some senators and things like that, but volatility is a scary thing. Now, this class at St. Hugh's High School for girls was an Anglican school, and it had a state-of-the-art language laboratory. I remember that, knowing that it was very modern, high-tech language lab. You could record yourself and you listen to recordings, so you learn pronunciation. These girls studied French for 7 years, and these girls were supposed to go to university in Toronto, because Toronto loves Jamaica. I have proof of it all over Facebook that Toronto loves Jamaica. Now, a big white man came to my parents' house when I was 10 years old, and my father chased him away. He was a Jehovah's Witness. Then a sweet, pretty white lady came to my house after that, and I read her magazines, watched her on awake. Then the Jackson 5 came to Jamaica. They were so tired on the bench in the airport, like 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, they were Jehovah's Witnesses then, but when Michael Jackson did Thriller, he did a press conference stating that he was no longer a Jehovah's Witness. He did this video, "They don't care about us." And I helped to do installation at Kingdom Hall in Lake Worth, and what happened is 20 leaders come from the head office, which used to be in Brooklyn, and they have 200 volunteers, and they build these buildings by supervising 200 volunteers, and they have no labor costs. So I also observed that after Michael did Thriller, and after he said he was no longer Jehovah's, he started wearing masks like we were in COVID. I don't know if God or Satan was using him as a prophet to describe that someday we'd be wearing a mask too, It's kind of spooky. I don't know if it's valid or not, but however, it's an observation. Did he know that the government was always involved? Because, that property was sold to the government, Trump and Kushner's, well, indirectly. So, I don't know. It seems kind of such a coincidence. Tyler said, "Trust nobody." And she has a very nice song, which I can't include on here. And he said, "Blame yourself for believing them," or something like that. Before me, O.J. Simpson's wife experienced overkill, and Rihanna had that horrible media explosion of her face being beat up by Chris Brown. Well, the things I have experienced and my baby have experienced, I call them crimes against women and children, have been really overkill. But if a man's going to kill a woman and he has to do her face like that, you show that it's proving that his value systems are very, very, very poor. I mean, you degrade her and then kill her, take her life. And I believe that the gangs in government are allowing people to do women like that because it seems like all America is now on board in humiliating women. And the whites are allowing the African Americans. Here, Kanye West's wife, his new wife, look at the way she's exposing herself like a whore. It's so degrading and humiliating. So all America is turning wives into whores. Look at her here, exposing herself like that. There she goes. I mean, she's a sexy woman, will admit that. So I didn't know when the culture changed it, but I saw something with Chrissy Teigen. She was crying when Oprah came together, and she didn't know what she was going to do with her life because she used to be a Victoria's Secret model. And then she was saying, "I hate you, John," on the talk show. A lot of people didn't hear that, but they had some difficulties. But John Legend now is doing something with cosmetics in CVS, so he got her a bigger house and four children. She had four children, one was not hers. Anyway, my son suffered a lot. This betrayal, their whole life, being isolated. I should have left them in Jamaica because we were in Jamaica one time, me and the children, and my mother's house is in front of the elementary school. And my mother worked for the government of Jamaica, so they certainly would have been safe, like my relatives who were at the funeral. They didn't grow up with their mother, they grew up in Jamaica, and they're more successful than us. Well, some more proof that we're in Satan's booty hole is John Sarbanes, senator. He has his video 4, which talks about 300 million Americans against big money. And what I observe when I work for the city of Delray Beach, I compare it to my work with the government of Jamaica, the European Union, and the state SunPass project in the Department of Transportation. I compare it. And I saw how, the builders would cater lunches and they'd email us and say, there's lunch in the conference room. And I felt that the big money was doing the gentrification of Delray Beach, the master plan, 2 blocks north and 2 blocks south of Atlantic Avenue, monetize and tourism, which Jamaica did that too. We did build a lot of hotels and everything for the tourists. However, John Sarbanes' point was that there would be 300 million people against big money, and that would leave 31 million people who control the big money, like the Trumps, the Elon Musk. Anyway, I saw the problem in Boca Raton with a lady being harassed by the developer, and she put a sign out on her. That's a different video. Anyway, I tell people to tread lightly in this area. As Alexander Pope said, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. But I was hurt in Broward County by, I think it is African Americans, but I was headed to a Jamaican city, Lauderdale Lakes or Lauderhill cities, because I left the city of Delray Beach. I was bullied out. So I said, let me go to a Jamaican city. But when I got hurt in Broward, I came back here. And I just went up to Jupiter and I was getting abused. I think it's something to do with my being of limited value. Some poor choices were made, that's true. I can't blame America completely. But volatility like this, you have to figure it out from if I've been here 46 years, that gave me 45 years to get it safe. Well, one thing I want to point out is a fact that of my 5 government jobs, I never was bullied out the other government jobs. I never saw greed, bribing, corruption, gentrification, or conflict. I never saw it in the other 5 government jobs. August 8, 2023, this Obama free phone pre-conquest nigger gang stalking bullying. 4 African Americans in 4 days. I think it's a paradigm because, I had 4 people in 4 days, and they don't even know that I work online. And right now I'm online learning AI and coding. So the job that I was doing in the morning, it was low pay, but in the afternoon, I was gonna do my career. Anyway, a country so rich would be a good tool of Satan. Look at this. The United States has more gold than any other country in the world, and Germany is next. Now, we have all this conflict in the world, which is creating some problems. There's Islam and China together, and they're also together in BRICS. And this is why we have lost Pier 1 Imports Tuesday morning, Steinmart, Delray Beach McDonald's, Delray Beach Burger King, and Boca Raton Kentucky Fried Chicken. Something that BRICS is doing, and China claims that all these buildings are going to be empty, that you're putting a priority on buildings, land and buildings over human life. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses made it a priority too. Object to it. And BRICS now is putting out publicity that the US dollar's crash will be similar to the crash of the Roman Empire. But of course, that's just publicity. But I'm just trying to make a point about the value systems and how you put the value of land and buildings over human life, and you're degrading women. I just think that it's such a bad thing, and it's not worth it, because somebody is trying to degrade the whole country itself, the US dollar itself. Anyway, I was noticing that there's a kill-off going on, and I just quickly looked through some books at Florida Atlantic University Library, and I found a book with Cambridge University and the WERC, which stated there had to be action for population and 2 other things. But the COVID, of course, somebody intentionally put out COVID and killed people all over the world. Now, in China, there was a debate between the robots, Sophia and Hans, that said there's too much human conflict, so they're putting in the robots. A judge from Washington and his wife said that Biden did not kill his first wife. Elon Musk says the head of the Extinction Society, and I don't know if that's Biden or the president of China. I don't know who. And then John Sarbanes implied that 31 million people would be against big money. And then the Chinese president is following Japan and putting in all the AI and the robotics, and then the singularity is going to change everything. A student at FAU said Klaus Schwab and George Soros are bringing Marxism to the United States. Well, when I researched it, Klaus Schwab and George Soros worked for Hitler, and they should be dead by now, but I mean, maybe they belong to the KKK, which is perpetuating that. Andrew Bustamante, who was recruited to be a CIA agent at 27 years old, with people in the same discipline, which means, they get a class of engineers, dysfunctional people who are high academics grades, and train them in secrets and lies to go into other countries and get the secrets from other countries. And he now has a business using secrets and lies to work with business, banking, etc. But I think you all should watch his videos, because we got to see where the value systems are heading. Here's John Sarbanes. He said 300 million Americans against big money. That leaves 31 million, the really rich people. Probably the really rich will be here with the robots. I don't know. I don't know what is worse. Those African Americans who are seeking personal power and government power, I notice it. It's really a paradigm, with a security guard and 2 cashiers in a shopping center, Dollar Tree and Panera Bread, seeking personal power, over me, I guess. Or is it the white kill-off, which is worse? So I say, tread lightly. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Yeah, robots will be a cure. They'll relieve the burdens of humans cleaning toilets, doing the harvesting, and waiting on people in restaurants, and they're working in Amazon doing the warehousing already. Russia, and Putin said that Trump's case proves that there's democracy is hypocritical. Well, to me, Trump's case proves that they toy with even presidents and billionaires in American courts. So you can see the media talking about this whole bond thing that he's going through. Of course, he has attorneys and accountants, but it's been such a horrible mess. The way the police rearrest him and the courts bring him back in and take more money. It's like they're toying with a very powerful person who's been president and who is a billionaire and a hardworking, successful entrepreneur. Well, to Washington, I know you threaten war for the country that want to file charges against the United States at The Hague. You threaten a war, but you see that we don't want to be toyed with in the American courts, so we have to go to The Hague. And Jamaica, Cuba, and other countries will be pushing through to go to The Hague. This is just another picture of Trump in court. I don't know how he deals with it. I know his attorneys, he really has to sit and answer some questions, but this is just, to me, just toying with him. All these months and months and all these arrests and all these things. Oh. Anyway, there was another court case, foreigners, which also versus the United States. They also toy with people from foreign countries. Anyway, so these are the robots, Sophia and Hans, having a debate and said, when robots take over the world, there will be less conflict. That's 12 minutes into a 23-minute video. And there's BRICS is expanding. But we mustn't just say all negative about BRICS trying to dethrone the US dollar. It's much more than that. I have a series of videos about the trade and everything. And all the countries all over the world, China is doing a lot of infrastructure projects for countries all over the world for a lower price than the IMF used to charge people. And the IMF really, really was making countries go through a really bad time all over the world. So BRICS now is getting support and by many countries who need help. Also, BRICS now has the Muslim countries. Islam has joined them. UAE, Saudi Arabia, and China did a trade for oil with Saudi Arabia for the digital one. So I just feel like we've got to change our value systems. Could we start with not humiliating the woman first? I have this conflict paradigm. A state trooper was ticketing my Honda. He's the reason why I lost my Honda. I had my family in and out my house, and then I had African-American state trooper harassing me on my job, ticketing my Honda. And then finally I had a false arrest, and then these two sheriffs, as early as 6:45 a.m. Saturday morning, March 18, 2022, those two sheriffs talking to each other. What are they talking about? They gave the woman my stuff. And he asked me, the African-American sheriff said, what do you want out of this person? I said, my wallet and my passport, and he gave it to me. So he must have known it was my bag. Anyway, so I think it's a cure. Indians are interdependent and they like education and skills. So we have about 200 Indian students here at Florida Atlantic University, and I'm sure there's some up there by Kamala Harris, but I've got to focus on this thing because if you look at it, the CEO of Google and Adobe and YouTube, they're all Indians. Rishi Sunak is the Indian Prime Minister of the UK. It's their value system. And then the robots will just have skills, no conflict. By coincidence, there's a place called Satan's Butthole. It's in King County, Washington. There's Stegosaurus butt. It's a very steep mountain. Now I'm going back to the art of ruining a woman. I don't know if white people are allowing African Americans to do this, but this is him getting a blowjob. It's just not good. They're degrading women and humiliating women and ruining them. Who's going to marry her after he does her like that? Look at her. She's completely nude. So I'm pointing out the volatility and power paradigm and the conflict paradigm. It's of real concern. And we do want the International Criminal Court to intervene because of fact, art, and toy. The fact is that I worked in government from I was 17, and I did not have this kind of problems with the European Union, with the motherland. The art of humiliating and degrading women, and the way that they had overkill with O.J. Simpson's wife and Rihanna. And then you toy with presidents. I call that fact, art, and toy is the reasons why we have to go to the International Criminal Court. Fact that I've been in government since I'm 17, I can compare different governments. The art of ruining women, subjugating, disrespecting, degrading, humiliating, devaluing, and overkill, and toying with presidents and billionaires. That's why we need to go to International Criminal Court, because of fact, art, and toy. Thank you.